She walked in there, Rachel. She had on a brown dress, form-fitting, visibly pregnant, head held high, and did not make any eye contact with the defendant, with Sean Combs. She said that Sean Combs directed everything from what she had on to the lighting in the room to how she was supposed to interact with the person that she was having sex with. And again, just to reiterate what is a freak off, the freak off essentially was something that Cassie said she learned about through Sean Combs about a year into their relationship. He described it as voyeurism, wanting to watch her have sex with someone else. And she said that she did it because she was 22, 21. She was young. She didn't know any better, and that she wanted to please Sean Combs.
Among other things, the singer is expected to address the 2016 video of Combs attacking her in a hotel when she was his girlfriend. Combs has pleaded not guilty. His attorneys argue the video is evidence of jealousy, not sex trafficking. And now for the first time, jurors are hearing what Cassie has to say about that and other aspects of their 10-year relationship.
They used to call him a music legend, a great force in hip-hop, someone who made stars and established empires. But yesterday, that image broke in court. Cassie Ventura, his ex-girlfriend, provided impassioned testimony that startled everyone. Diddy appeared surprised as she recalled problematic instances from their past, exposing surprising claims.
And at some point in time, she actually had said that she looked forward to the freak-offs. Why did Cassie express looking forward to these said freak-offs?
When the prosecution asked her, was there ever a time that you enjoyed the freak-offs? This is when Cassie got choked up, and she said, I did, but only because I got to spend one-on-one time with Combs, and I really did love him.
And that is speaking to the psychological abuse, in addition to the physical abuse that she potentially experienced.
Yeah, she's definitely laying out someone who was young, who was influenced by wanting to have this record career. She signed a 10-album deal with Bad Boy Entertainment, led by Sean Combs, and basically describes being enamored by Sean Combs, loving him, not knowing about certain things sexually, and him sort of telling her, teaching her about that. And what you hear is someone that was young and she even said, I was young, I was naive, I didn't know any better. But she's really telling the story of someone who thought she was going to be with someone in this music industry that was going to help her career, that cared about her, but quickly learned after the freak-offs that wasn't the case. And what I thought was also interesting is she said that after that first freak-off, she said she felt dirty. She didn't want to do it. And when she brought up the idea of having a conversation about the freak-offs in an email, which the jurors saw, she said she backpedaled in the email because Combs responded by saying, I know, you don't want to do it. And she said, oh, no, well, it's not that. But that was the beginning. That was in 2010, where she brings up in an email that she wanted to have a conversation about this. And in her words, she didn't want to do it, but she felt like she had to do it.
Well, Diane, prosecutors have wasted no time getting right into the alleged abuse that Cassie Ventura says she endured for years. Ventura telling jurors, quote, he would bash my head, knock me over, drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head when I was down. She also got into the nature of those so-called freak-offs, saying that they involved hiring an escort and they performed under the direction of Combs, saying that they happened so frequently it eventually became a job for her to set them up. Ventura said she did not feel she had much of a choice but to participate, that she feared that Combs would retaliate or potentially blackmail her if she did not. And she's had at times to she's taken deep breaths, pausing her testimony, Combs appearing to be listening pretty passively with his hands in his lap at the defense table.
For years, Sean Diddy Combs went through the music world with unequaled influence. He didn't just succeed, he dominated. From nothing, he formed Bad Boy Records and turned unknown artists into global sensations. His influence stretched well beyond music. He developed businesses in fashion, booze, and entertainment. On paper, he was the definition of success, a businessman who transformed hip-hop into a global empire. But all that success came with a carefully created image. The sharp clothes, the perfect smile, and the reputation as a mentor and visionary. Now that image is crumbling apart. Cassie Ventura, his former lover, went into a courtroom and began delivering a story that astonished everyone. While the world saw sparkle and elegance, Cassie maintains she was going through something entirely different, something dark and horrific. Diddy turned up to court looking like the man we all recognize, calm, confident, surrounded by pricey lawyers, even flashing smiles like he was attending another meeting. But as Cassie spoke, everything changed. Witnesses stated his demeanor transformed, his body language grew strained, and his polished poise began to crumble. Within half an hour of her evidence, his confidence waned. He couldn't sit still. He continued adjusting his tie, then his cufflinks, then simply his hands. At one point, he started writing and sending notes to his legal team so fast that his lawyer had to advise him to slow down. People in the courtroom watched a guy unraveling. One writer said it looked like someone recognizing, maybe for the first time, that they weren't in charge of the story anymore. Cassie's words weren't just emotional, they were strong. And as her testimony continued, it became evident why Diddy couldn't keep his calm. What she was going to reveal might shock the whole music industry and break down everything he spent decades developing.
It's not coercion. This was consensual. We know that Cassie started out with Sean Combs as an early person with someone who is trying to get her career started, and he was going to help her. That's what the defense is going to say, that she was starting out and wanted someone to support her. They did their first record deal together. That's something I think the defense is going to focus on, and had it not been for Sean Combs, she wouldn't be where she is right now. The prosecution obviously is saying he was in control. It may have started out as a consensual. It may have started out with her being excited about seeing him, but ultimately he took control of that relationship. He took control of her career. This is their key witness, and she's on that stand trying to explain all of the charges that the prosecution wants to hit home with that jury.
No, there was a moment early on when Cassie mentioned Dallas Austin, who she called a friend who's a producer. So I don't know if that's someone that we're going to hear from. We know that there were pictures shown to prospective jurors that are well-known celebrities, Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Lauren London. We don't know, though, how they fit yet into why they were even asked, do you know these people? Are you familiar with them?
So the prosecution is questioning Cassie right now, still questioning her.
The defense hasn't even got a chance to, that might change based on the timing, but, because she's such a key witness, it's likely that she will be on that stand the rest of the day. We learned that Cassie referred to him as Pop Pop, and Sean Combs would refer to her as CC. The prosecution says, what does CC stand for? She said Cassie Combs.
What kind of witness is Cassie coming off as to the jurors?
I think naturally when you look at her visually, people see that she's pregnant and looking like she's due any day now. So they might, have empathy, sympathy for her in that way, but we don't really know. We know that they've been instructed to be fair and impartial. As to what type of witness she's coming off as, she's describing someone that she was, someone she said that was trying to figure out who she was at that time and who she was allowed to be. Now you're looking at somebody that's almost 40 years old, totally different person, but even in describing what was going on at her at that time, taking drugs, trying to please Sean Combs, she's really just sort of laying out the case for her not having a lot of control. So I think that's the takeaway. This is someone who is making it very clear that at that particular time in her life, she says she did not have any control really over what she wore, what she did, who she was having sex with. She's a different person now. But I think when she talks about those details and even reflecting on them for herself, as we saw today, she broke down in that courtroom.
When Cassie Ventura went into the courtroom to testify, everything fell utterly silent. People had been waiting for this moment, but no one, especially Diddy's legal team, seemed ready for what she was going to say. After years of silence, years of holding unpleasant memories to herself, Cassie finally opened up, and she didn't hold back. She began by telling the court how she first met Diddy at 19. He was already a wealthy and influential figure in the music scene, while she was simply a teenage model trying to become a singer. From the outset, the power imbalance between them was considerable, and according to Cassie, he exploited that power to control her life. At first, she said, the control was subtle. He wanted to know where she was all the time and would randomly show up when she was out. Then it escalated. She claimed he began threatening her music career, stating he'd stop her songs from being released if she didn't do what he wanted. She also stated he prohibited her from working with other musicians whenever he felt jealous or insecure. What stunned the courtroom most was when Cassie testified that Diddy had installed tracking software on her phone. She said he would regularly phone her just minutes after she landed somewhere, knowing her exact location. Over time, she alleged, he isolated her, cutting her off from friends and anyone who may support her leaving him. During this testimony, Diddy visibly lost his composure. He continued shaking his head, chatting to his lawyers and making faces that the jury couldn't ignore. The judge had to advise him to calm down more than once. Then came the turning point. Cassie handed her lawyer her phone, and messages between her and Diddy were revealed in front of the court. His reaction was complete bewilderment. These communications included supposed apologies for violent behavior and promises to ruin her career if she ever came out. They directly went against what Diddy's public team had said about him for years. But that was merely the beginning. Cassie went on to describe the alleged physical assault she faced. The courtroom grew silent as she recounted being slammed into walls and pushed downstairs. One of the most terrifying aspects was when she detailed Diddy reportedly choking her until she nearly passed out, only stopping after she stopped moving. People in the courtroom were visibly shocked. One jury wiped away tears, while another couldn't even look at Diddy. Even the most seasoned reporters admitted they weren't prepared for the intensity and emotion of Cassie's statements. And yet, this was all building up to one final story, the hotel event that would shortly explode this case wide open.